crap. How many of you guys had Asmongold versus Elon Musk on your 2025 bingo card? Oh, just when you thought the internet couldn't get any more entertaining, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day, and today guys, would you guess it, we're gonna be going over another monk build. This is probably gonna be the last monk build I do before I move on to other characters and maybe some other PoE 2 content. I have made a lot of changes to my overall setup now that we are moving over to the big bad Pinnacle bosses. My old Siphoning Strike build, as gimmicky and silly as it was really good for mapping, but it definitely fell short when you came to bosses. And when the bosses have 20 mil plus health, you don't want to be fucking around. You want to be blasting those bad boys as quickly as possible. So we are using a more meta monk setup now, unfortunately, but there are a few little setups that you can run that I don't see many people talk about. I'd like to give you guys that information. And now quickly, I will just give you a quick overview of the build and then we will just jump straight into it. So we have over 600,000 damage on our tooltip when we have all our buffs running at one time. We have fantastic map clearing speeds. We're basically one-shotting screens of enemies. And this build also melts through bosses like a hot knife melts through friggin' butter, baby. We're running a total of 6 buffs, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Who doesn't love some buffs? We got pretty decent survivability. Could be better, but at least we're more durable than a wet paper bag. We freeze and CC lock enemies and bosses very easily, which trivializes a lot of the content in this game. Not even Zest, the big Zesty boy himself, could withstand the freeze build up. And the cherry on top is you don't need any uniques to set this build up, but the pole circling sapphire ring makes a massive difference in map clear speeds. And last but not least, we almost never run out of mana and we are just melting our way through pretty much everything the game throws at us. So if that overview tickles your pickle, then maybe this might be the build for you. So let's not piss fight around any longer. Let's jump straight into the actual setup. Just quickly before we do get into everything, I just want to mention that this is not my build. I did not make this build. This build has been made by another legend in the community called FG Corbin 21. I apologize if I'm butchering your name, dude. This is basically this man's build with just a few little tweaks here and there. So I have to give credit where credit is due, because as soon as I slotted this bad boy together, it was firing off on all cylinders. So Corbian, again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, absolutely cooked in the kitchen with this one. And I just had to showcase it for you guys for anyone that has not seen this. So if you want a much more detailed explanation, I will pop the man's build link down in the comment section, because no one bloody checks the description anymore. So you guys can find it a little bit easier. And he does a fantastic job at explaining why he's taking everything and how the build works. I don't mean to glaze the man too much, but seriously, the build is really good. Now, I don't want to sit here and bore you guys by explaining everything in too much detail. I just wanted to send you straight over to Corbian's channel. Go give the man some love. He does a fantastic job at actually explaining how everything works. But I'm going to try and do my best to quickly glaze over everything, just to save maybe you guys just a little bit of time. So for the skills, we do have Unbound Avatar, we do have Eye Strike, we have Combat Frenzy, Charge Staff, Temper Spell, Herald of Ice, Cast on Shock, Wind Dancer, Herald of Thunder, Ghost Dance, and also Hand of Kyula. Now you're probably wondering, why the hell do you have so many skills, Aussie? Well, we are using the unset ring. You definitely do not need this, but I did have this ring lying around. I thought I might as well just try it out and see if you can make an extra skill work, and I do feel like Hand of Kyula fits in there quite nicely, and I'll explain why in a minute. So for the support gems on Unbound Avatar, we just have Cold Mastery, Fire Mastery, Lightning Mastery, and then also Persistence. For Eye Strike, we are running Martial Tempo, we're running Concentrated Effect, we're running Primal Armament, Heft, and also Crescendo. And for anyone that doesn't know, the third strike of Eye Strike is where all your damage comes from, baby. This is the big heavy hitter. So your third strike does a whopping 431% attack damage. So being able to do your final strike twice in succession is very good at just giving you more DPS. For Combat Frenzy, we have Profusion, bit of a no-brainer. Charge Staff, we are running Overcharge, we're running Close Combat, running Coursing Current, and also Conduction. This setup is mainly so we can shock enemies as much as possible, so we can build up energy on Cast on Shock, so we can drop Eye of Winters all the time. We're dropping Eye of Winters all the time, and I think it is all thanks to having these supports on Charge Staff. And then for Temper Spell, we have Font of Rage, we have Overabundance, we have Heavy Swing, and then we have Soul Thief. If you had the 5 link, I would go ahead and put Rage Forged in there maybe, just to give your bell even more damage. consuming 10 rage. Herald Device, we have Magnified Effect, we have Lightning Infusion, we have Ambush, and we also have Innovate. The main takeaway from these supports is make sure you have Lightning Infusion with Herald Device. That way when you're using the Polar Circling, Sapphire Ring, your Herald Device is going to be deleting enemies, it's going to be shocking enemies, which then drops Herald of Thunder, then your Herald of Thunder freezes enemies, and it just gives you this massive chain explosion that just completely clears screen. Moving on to Cast on Shock, we have Eye of Winter, we have Energy Retention support, we have Inspiration support, and then we also have Impetuous, I think that's how you say that, support as well. And then we have Inspiration here because Eye of Winter is just gonna burn through your mana like crazy. I just felt like Inspiration was another layer of utility, so we're not burning through our mana as quickly with Eye of Winter. For Wind Dancer, we have Blind and we have Maim. For Herald of Thunder, we have Glaciation, we have Ice Bite, we have Cold Infusion, and we have Super Critical. For Ghost Dance, we have Clarity, and we have Fast Forward. And then if you do want to take an unset ring and run Hand of Kaiula, I have got Freezing Mark, Hypothermia, and then also Heightened Curse. Now the reason why I have Hand of Kaiula here is it's not really needed, but for the start of the fight and when freeze build-up falls off, like bosses, especially Pinnacle bosses, Hand of Kaiula is very efficient at making sure you freeze the enemy almost instantaneously again. So Freezing Mark gives us 54% increased freeze buildup on marked enemies, which is insane considering how much freeze buildup we're actually taking. And then Hypothermia lowers the enemy's cold resistance by 34%. We get an increased 10%, so we're going to have 44%, and then we've also got 25% off that. So we're going to get something like, I don't know, 54%. So we're going to reduce the enemy's cold resistance by 54%. That paired up with Freezing Mark, we just freeze enemies insanely quick. Not even the Pinnacle bosses themselves can stop being frozen over and over and over again. And I feel like Hand of Kaiula definitely just speeds that process up. You don't need it. You're gonna freeze enemies and bosses all the same. But just when you're doing Pinnacle bosses and certain other bosses that might have high cold resistance. So I just felt like Hand of Kaiula gives you a bit of an edge at the start of a fight, being able to freeze the enemy even quicker. And all we need to do is freeze the enemy, and then we will get Heavy Frost passive, which is so fucking strong for bosses. Hits ignore non-negative elemental resistances of frozen enemies. So that's all I'm using Hand of Kaiula for. I want to freeze the enemies as fast as possible, so Heavy Frost kicks in, and then you don't even need Hand of Kaiula. The enemy's got no resistance anyway, they're just fucked. So that is why I'm taking Hand of Kaiula. Again, you definitely don't need it, but I did have the unset ring, so I thought I might as well try this out. Now, two other abilities I don't see too many people talk about. I know Syrobe talked about Mantra of Destruction tech there, where you can use it with the bell, and it does work with the bell. It is giving you those purple flames when you kill enemies with the bell. I tried Mantra of Destruction, does feel pretty good with bosses as well. Corbian setup definitely feels much better for taking down bosses, but Mantra of Destruction isn't bad. I highly recommend you check out Syrobe's video if you have not. He's going to explain how this works much better than I am. I don't want to keep you guys here too long. It's a bit of an explanation. And then Staggering Palm. Staggering Palm's actually pretty good. The only reason I've dropped it is we can't keep the buff up consistently because we are just deleting enemies too fast. I can't even get the stun build up to use Staggering Palm to get that wind buff because they're just dead. But Staggering Palm had carried me through a lot of the mapping, a lot of breaches, just because of those wind projectiles. They're able to do elemental damage if you're taking elemental damage, and they just freeze enemies off in the distance. And if you're running the Pulse Circle and Sapphire Ring, they're dead. It's going to start chain reactions off screen. There's plenty of times where I'll just be running through the map and enemies off in the distance are already dead. There's just piles of loot everywhere. So I feel like Staggering Palm doesn't get talked about enough. I do feel like it is pretty strong. It's just when you get to the later stages of the game and you're really starting to do serious damage, it does fall off just because you can't use the buff anymore. You're just killing enemies too quickly. It's just no point trying to micromanage that buff. It's just going to slow you down. But if you aren't doing like insane amounts of damage, Staggering Palm is really good for just helping you clear out maps even faster. I'm probably maybe showing you clips on screen now of Staggering Palm just deleting enemies off screen. It's very strong, and I actually really did enjoy Staggering Palm. I'm not using it now because we are doing too much damage. Now moving on over to the gear. I will kind of just go through this a little bit. I don't really go through the gear because I just try and keep my videos as short as possible. You guys can just pause the video. You can check the build planner. It's all going to be there. But the main thing I want to talk about is this fucking weapon, bro. I actually crafted this weapon myself. It's friggin' insane. It's giving us so much damage. The main reason why we're at 153,000 damage. We do have 141% increased physical damage. We have a little bit of cold. We have a fat lightning damage additive there. We have plus 32 to crit damage bonus and 15% increased attack speed. Also gain mana per enemy killed, which definitely helps us when we're mapping, but I don't think you really need this. Crit chance would have been much better, but it is what it is. I do just want to mention that I have put the elemental damage runes here. I did have the physical damage runes. I'd switched them out to the elemental damage one because it is giving us roughly 5,000 more damage. So that 60% does more for us than just increasing Ice Strike's damage. But just on Ice Strike damage alone, we did get about 5,000 more damage, slotting the 60% elemental damage over the 40% physical damage. So this weapon is putting in work. It is carrying my ass so hard right now with the amount of damage they have to put out. It's not the best by far. Obviously, that cold damage would have been really good as elemental damage. It would have been fucking insane. Just wanted to show this off and give some hope to all those solo self-found players that you can actually get yourself a pretty decent weapon. My helmet's pretty doo-doo. I've just got accuracy, life, mana, crit hit chance, resistance, and lightning resistance. If you do take Chaos Inoculation, obviously you're not going to want any life. That's a dead stat. Get rid of it. You can run Chaos Inoculation with this setup if you want to. I'm just not, because I don't really die to Chaos damage, so I just feel like it's a waste of a point. I have my rare jacket here. I've got my jacket, ladies and gentlemen.
At least a level 75 jacket.
We've got Chaos Resistant. I've got Evasion Rating, Maximum Energy Shield, 125% increased Evasion Energy Shield. Very, very nice. More life, which again, if you're taking CI, you don't need this. Reduce attribute requirements, dead stat, cold resistance, and lightning resistance. Now, moving on over to my gloves. Now, the main thing I think you want to focus on with gloves is just getting that add to elemental damage. So get cold damage, lightning damage, and fire. I don't think you need physical. I think physical would help. Obviously, if you got nothing else to choose from and it's got decent add to physical damage, that is probably also going to be very beneficial to your overall build. But I think elemental damage for this particular setup is going to go a long way. I do have crit damage bonus and attack speed, so very nice gloves. If I go ahead and take these off, you can see they go down to 129,000 damage or 130,000 damage. So these gloves alone are just giving us 23,000 damage, so absolutely insane. They're not overly expensive either. I think I probably paid about 80 exalted for these. So, you know, they're relatively cheap. You don't have to break the bank too hard, and you're going to get 23,000 damage, which is pretty good. My belt, I've just got life, mana, and resistances. My boots, I've got movement speed, try and get as much movement speed as possible, more resistances. My ring, I've got the unset ring here. You definitely do not need this ring. You're probably better off having another resistance ring. The only reason I've got this is because I wanted to try Hand of Kyula. So I do have add to fire, I've got add to lightning, I've got increased cold damage, I've got more resistances, I've got strength attribute there. My other ring here is the ruby ring. We've got fire damage, we've got add to lightning damage, increase to cold damage, and then we've got a plus to dexterity, which is going to help us get more attack speed because of one of our passive nodes. And then we have plus 12 to all elemental resistance and also cold resistance. And then the necklace is just the bloodstone amulet. We've got crit hit chance, crit damage bonus, lightning resistance, life, mana, and accuracy rating. You don't really need accuracy rating. You could probably be like evasion or energy shield or something like that. Probably be a bit better for your survivability. And then we do have storm charge. We have, I don't even know what people call this when they put something on the amulet. I'm just going to say we've enchanted the amulet. We've storm charged. So storm charge is giving us 40% increased elemental damage if we've dealt a crit hit recently. And we are crit hitting all the time. We have about 42% crit hit chance. So we are crit hitting very often, especially with our attack speed. And storm charge also gives us a 20% more increased crit hit chance. Very nice. Now, like I said, you don't need any uniques for this setup, but one unique that definitely helps, going to make your map clearing speeds a hell of a lot faster, is the pole circling sapphire ring. We all know what this does. I think you've seen every fucking goddamn monk build on the planet use this friggin' ring. It's just because it's so strong for mapping. And again, you don't need it, but if you want to go through maps as quickly as possible, this is the ring to do it. So we'll start with the ascendancy tree first. Not too much has changed. The only thing that's changed, I've got my 4th ascendancy and we've unlocked Unbound Avatar. Unbound Avatar is insane for taking down bosses. As soon as I unlocked this, my boss kill speed was cut in half. It literally cut in half. Makes sense because you get 40% more damage, so you're just going to be killing bosses 40% faster. But yeah, Unbound Avatar is absolutely no joke. We're taking a lot of skill effect duration. So I think Unbound Avatar has about 16 seconds, 17 seconds duration, which is more than enough to lay on some serious damage on any boss. If not, just delete them. I don't think too much is different from his passive tree to my passive tree. I'm pretty sure he took Careful Assassin. Careful Assassin is absolutely absurd, giving you 50% increased crit hit chance. Pretty sure he's taken Thin Ice and also Heavy Frost. I know for one, he did go up and take Ingenuity. This is going to give you more intelligence. More intelligence going to let you have a higher level of Cast on Shock and Eye of Winter, meaning that Eye of Winter is going to do more damage and Cast on Shock is going to have more energy generation. So that is something you can do, but I've decided I get more damage by having 6 jewel slots. So I've spread out. I've gone down. We've still got this jewel slot. We've still got this jewel slot. We've got this one over here. We've got another one here. One above Resonance. And then also this new one up top here on the way to Ingenuity. So we have 6 jewels and 6 jewels. Each jewel is pretty much giving us about 8,000 damage, give and take. Some are better than others. I do want to switch my jewels around because I was very heavy on melee and attack damage. The attack damage is fine, but I would rather have these kind of jewels, the sapphire ones with increased cold, crit hit chance, skill effect duration, and also elemental damage. I think that is much better than just these rubies that have attack and melee. This is what I had way before I knew how monk damage worked properly. So I kind of just pulled the trigger on attack and melee damage because, hey, it was boosting my damage number on my tooltip. Must be good, right? Not always the case. So I do think I want to switch these out for probably more of the sapphire jewels. You can also get the emerald ones, which do wonders too. They have crit damage, crit chance, and also attack damage. They don't have the skill effect duration, unfortunately. I think they have elemental damage, the emeralds. The only one that isn't like that is this one over here, which does give us 1 rage on melee hit. I would probably try and prioritize getting a ruby like this. Getting that 1 extra rage is going to be very beneficial for increasing your damage, and also having Font of Rage on our temper spell is also going to help us give us rage. So between these two things coming together, we are able to get 30 stacks of rage very, very easily, which means we have 30% more damage with everything. And now just to quickly show you my Atlas tree as well, just to show you that we are doing max everything. There's Zest, fully maxed out, got all the points there. And then the map bosses, I still need the last one. I'm not sure how you get that. I might have to look that up, but we do have max boss difficulty. Even with these 2 upgrades here, they're not increasing boss difficulty any further. These are just buffs. So we are running max boss difficulty. We are running max Zest difficulty. And I think that's basically it for the build video, guys. So massive shout out to FG Corbian 21. His link will be down in the comment section below. Go and check out his channel, please. He did a fantastic job putting this build together. It is very similar to how a lot of other meta monk builds have been putting their builds together, but his was a little different using Eye of Winter. Kudos to you, Corbian, for putting this together. It was a lot of fun. It shreds through bosses. This is arguably the best boss killing monk build I've used. So do you like this build? Do you think it could be better? Let me know in the comment section below. So I think I'm done with monk now. We've done +4 Pinnacle. I could go do Arbiter of Ash. It's just I'm really broke on currency right now. It's a bit expensive to buy the keys that you actually need to do Arbiter of Ash. Same goes with King of Mist. It's a bit expensive, so I'm just probably going to start another character. I'm probably going to do a 0 to hero on Witch. Yeah, I think that's a great place to end the monk. I think it's a great place to end the video too. So I appreciate all the love and support as always, guys. And until next time, stay safe. Peace out.